Hello everyone, it's Al Nigrin, Executive Director and Curator of the New Jersey Film Festival, back with our filmmaker interview series. We have a wonderful film festival lined up for the spring of 2013, which actually begins in January. People say, well, how can it be a spring program? Well, because the university where we're based has a spring semester, and it starts in middle of January. So our first program will be on January 25th, and will run on select evenings, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, through March 2nd, and you can get complete information at our website at www.njfilmfest.com. We have also wonderful promotions sponsored by Jimmy John's of New Brunswick, who will be giving out free sandwiches prior to all of the competition festival screenings, which will be taking place the first 3 weekends, starting again on January 25th. But today, we have the producer of the great film, the great documentary films, Set for Life, here today. Sue Sipprelle is here. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Al.
And how did you get involved with this film? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I went back to Columbia Graduate School of Journalism pretty late in life, in my 40s. And after I graduated in 2008, I worked with a couple of former professors on long-term independent journalism projects. But at that point, the Great Recession had struck, and I could see its impact on my peers, the baby boomers, and so I wanted to do more. I wanted to do my own project, and that's how I got started with a filmmaker, Sam Newman, who couldn't join us today. So we began interviewing people who were over the age of 50 who had lost their job as a consequence of the Great Recession.
One of the things I noticed while reading the judges' comments, because I was not on the panel for your film, but I always make sure I look at the work before I interview folks and before the festival, because I need to talk about them. They just thought it was so timely, and so many people are going through this right now because we still are in the Great Recession. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that you interviewed, and where are they now?
Well, we interviewed 100 people across the country, from Rhode Island to California and from Michigan down to Florida. So we concentrated on the states that had the highest rates of unemployment at the time, which included Michigan, California, Rhode Island, Florida, Nevada. And as you know, the Great Recession had many consequences. People lost financial wealth, they lost their jobs, the value of their homes declined, and they struggled to get back to work. And so we tried to interview people in a very broad range of professions. So we interviewed steelworkers who had lost their job, teachers who had lost their jobs, IT project managers who had lost their job. And the film focuses on 3 people who lost their job in the Great Recession: a former steelworker from Weirton, West Virginia, a woman who had worked at a local technical college in Conway, South Carolina. We would call it a community college here in the Northeast, and then an IT project manager from California. And overall, out of our 100 interviewees, about a dozen or so, and the number fluctuates, have gotten back to full-time jobs with benefits comparable to what they received prior to the recession. The vast majority of our interviewees remain severely underemployed. They've long ago run out of unemployment insurance, but they have found part-time work, or they're working as a contractor, but they're not anywhere near the level of financial security and stability they had before the recession struck.
Yeah, and as a kind of late baby boomer myself, who's in his mid-50s, I kind of put myself in the shoes of many of these folks and realized, well, what would I do if I were laid off and had to find work? And I remembered interviewing people when I was a manager and how difficult it was for those folks because their longevity was not going to be there for the company that you worked for. So my heart went out to them. And yet at the same time, there's still a hopeful tone to this documentary. And, you know, even though we're at this point, do you ever think about adding chapters to this? I mean, I could see perhaps all the other folks that you interviewed would be nice as supplementary material to a DVD release, or have you guys thought about that?
Well, we have our whole fully developed website, Over 50 and Out of Work, that includes 3 to 5 minute interviews with all 100 interviewees. And then our 3 main characters, we went back and followed them for longer periods of time. And that is, the 2 questions that Sam and I get asked about our documentary is, how did you find the people, and what has happened to everyone? And yes, that is a possibility. And of course, we not only followed our main characters for a longer period of time, but I'm in touch with them. And I want to say there is a resilience to our interviewees and also to the American people, which is very heartwarming.
Yeah, and that's what I felt too.
It's fantastic. The natural condition of humans is resilience,
yeah.
and you really feel that when they find a way out. I mean, as a journalist and as somebody who's studied economics, I have to say they haven't found a way out that brings them back to where they were previously. Their standard of living has definitely declined.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they have adjusted and coped and adapted.
Well, thanks so much, Sue. I wanted to tell folks, you can see this wonderful documentary, which we're screening on Saturday, January 26th. That's Saturday, January 26th. That's part of our opening weekend. There'll be 3 short films that kind of fit in nicely with the documentary feature, which is Set for Life. It'll be screened at 7 p.m. Sue will be there along with director Sam Newman. There'll be an introduction and a Q&A session so you can interact with them, and I hope you will join us. If you need further information, please go to njfilmfest.com. Click on where it says New Jersey Film Festival Spring 2013 schedule and work your way all the way down the page. If you need general information, that's at the very bottom. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Al.
Hope to see you at the screenings, folks.